So we heard about the different point of views about trust and technology, digital trust, the academy point of view, governance point of view, as well as the industry. We thought it would be very interesting to understand also what are some of the kind of leading Swiss company that used to be startup and are becoming bigger and bigger in the region, about their experience, their insights, what were their challenges, what were their journeys. So for that, I'm going to ask Joël Winteregg, CEO of NetGuardians, to come and join me, Andy Yan, CEO of Proton Mail, Cedric Enzler, CEO of Expert Solutions, and Antoine Coetsier, founder, CEO of Exoscale. We talked a lot about trust. I mean, that was kind of the big debate of today. Your companies are based on trust. So I think my first question is that, what did you do to gain trust or to keep trust in your own environment? Is it difficult? What did you have to do? How did you have to, talk to your different ecosystems? So maybe we'll start with Joël.
Thanks. Basically, trust is a good question. We were a startup company, just to give a little bit of context so you understand where I want to go with that. We were a startup company out of Yverdon-les-Bains, starting from university. So I never had another job than NetGuardians, basically. And when you start with nothing, it's feel like a little bit like, I don't know if you went to a bar on a Saturday evening alone, a packed bar in Lausanne or anywhere in Switzerland. You can sit down at the table alone and no one's come around to talk to you. That's really kind of what is happening in Switzerland. And when you start from university with no money, no network, no trust, then you really feel like this guy alone sitting in the bar, the one you don't want to be when you are with your friends. And you really feel like this guy alone in a bar. And then trust is really a key factor of starting a company. And to be very concrete, at NetGuardians, we realized that to build trust, you have to find some great partners that start trusting you. And when they trust you, their customer getting trust from you too. So it's kind of, maybe virus is not the right word today, but it gets propagated. If some people are trusting you, then it gives you ability to gain trust of some others. And I think that's really what we discovered and what we build, to build a company where right now we are on 90 people. We focus on preventing payment fraud within banks, in Asia, in Africa, and in Europe, where we've got 3 offices right now.
So it's like you're starting building your own network of trust and help that grow throughout the whole
with
experience.
Partners that were trusting us and taking a bit of risk by trusting us at the early days.
Andy, you want to add anything about what did you do?
Sure. Yes. So I think to echo one of the points made in the last panel, one of the key elements is actually transparency. And I think that's something that has set Proton Mail apart from the very beginning. Our code is open source. It's publicly audited. People can see what we're doing. And I think that makes a big difference, because you cannot trust something if you don't understand it. And by being transparent and open with our communications and our software and our technology, that allows us to build the trust. And this is actually a value that you need to keep alive in the business, even as it grows. So, we started with a very transparent approach, even when we were 5, 6, 7 people. And today, growing to around 250 employees and 30 million customers, it's the same thing, right? Transparent communication, very transparent with the code and the technology, and open source all the software that we can open source. And that's a very different approach compared to most tech companies in the space. And I think it's very instrumental in why we've been able to be trusted compared to some of the other businesses out there in the tech space today, which have very, very big trust problems.
Well, that's, the story of Proton Mail is a great success story, but what is a thing that you wish someone told you before you started all that?
This is for me. Well, I think if you do any business, what you'll realize, as I realized after many years, is everything is going to take 3 times as long and cost you 3 times as much. If I had knew that 6 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have done the business, right? So maybe it's good that I didn't know that. But in retrospect, I think it's something that you don't realize until you've been through it a couple of years and you realize how hard everything is. Everything seems very easy when you don't know anything, right? And then you discover how hard it is as you progress along.
Great. Antoine, maybe can you tell us more about the journey? What did you learn? What key insight about your journey?
Yeah, sure. With Exoscale, we're a cloud company. We started almost 10 years ago. But cloud today is boring. But one anecdote is trust. We launched in the wake of the Snowden revelation. So remember 2013, 2014, those revelations about NSA eavesdropping. So we thought back then that, being a Swiss company, being at the heart of Europe, offering cloud services, even back then we were sharing with Andy a location, a data center, which was a bunker, ex-military bunker in the mountains. We thought we would conquer all the Europe with customers, but that didn't happen exactly like this. So we realized the hard way that building trust is about time. It's about building a community, relationships. And yes, that's what took us there.
Joël, I think when we were discussing this topic, you made a really nice comparison between the food industry and the technology industry, and I'd love you to share that. I thought it was really interesting.
Very true. Because building trust in Switzerland, I really realize it's not easy. Once you get it, it's great. But to get it is very, very hard. And I was amazed that in the food industry, buying local is natural. It's the future, is what you need to do to build a nice country, basically. And when you apply that into tech company, buying local is a risk. And that's a pity, I would say.
So we talked about your journeys, the challenges, the things you wish you learned. Now let's look at the opportunities and how you see, your opportunities out of the COVID crisis. So maybe Cedric, you want to tell us more about that?
Thank you. Je vais le faire en français. Merci pour la question. Effectivement, alors on ne peut pas se réjouir de cette crise du Covid, bien évidemment, mais je pense que pour tous les acteurs qui sont sur scène et dans la salle, clairement, on observe chez nos clients une accélération très forte de la transformation digitale, ce qui a déclenché, c'est une des premières conséquences dans le monde informatique de cette crise. Et c'est à la fois une opportunité, bien évidemment, pour les sociétés de la cybersécurité comme les nôtres, mais c'est en même temps un challenge, parce qu'en fait, on a, je dirais, deux catégories de clients, en tout cas en Suisse romande. On a des grandes entreprises qui avaient déjà amorcé cette transformation numérique. Donc finalement, pour elles, c'était une accélération du processus, mais elles avaient déjà intégré les notions de cybersécurité, les notions de data privacy, de user privacy dans leur roadmap. Simplement, ce qu'ils avaient prévu de faire à 5 ans, ils ont dû le faire en quelques mois, je dirais. Le problème, le challenge, c'est pour les PME. Les PME, elles ont dû finalement, sans initiative au préalable, effectuer leur transformation digitale en l'espace de quelques semaines. Elles ont dû négliger malheureusement la cybersécurité, la data privacy. On remarque qu'en 2020, non seulement le Data Privacy Shield il est tombé, donc ça pose un problème quand même assez sérieux à ce niveau-là, et en même temps on a les PME qui n'ont pas les budgets suffisants pour justement accompagner leur transformation numérique de cybersécurité. Donc on a vraiment les deux aspects, c'est une opportunité pour nos autres sociétés et en même temps un réel défi pour les PME locales.
Et en quoi un programme comme la Trust Valley peut accompagner et aider? Comment tu verrais ça?
Je dirais, de mon expérience personnelle, je dirais le terreau, il est là depuis entre 15 et 20 ans. J'ai eu la chance de pouvoir justement tirer profit finalement du réservoir académique, de l'industrie privée qui justement peuple l'arc lémanique. Et je pense que justement cette initiative, elle tombe pile poil au bon moment parce qu'on remarque d'un côté, on a des sociétés qui doivent aller dans leur transformation digitale sans sécurité. Elles peuvent perdre confiance justement dans l'outil numérique au moment où elles doivent justement opérer cette transformation. En même temps, on se rend compte qu'on a une dépendance, je dirais, technologique de plus en plus forte sur des data centers, des prestataires de services qui sont en dehors de la Suisse. En plus, avec des lois qui tombent, on va dire des mesures de protection légale qui tombent, et les entreprises sont un petit peu perdues. Et je pense qu'il y a vraiment besoin de créer un réel réseau de confiance. Et s'il y avait un message à donner, je pense que cette dépendance numérique, elle devient de plus en plus saillante. Et je pense qu'on peut justement, dans le cadre de la Trust Valley, lancer des initiatives concrètes pour ramener la donnée, la donnée sensible en Suisse. Je pense que c'est vraiment une plateforme d'hébergement idéale. Il y a encore beaucoup de travail à faire, mais comparativement à d'autres pays, je pense qu'on est un acteur, on peut se profiler comme un acteur majeur. Et là, les autorités, les gouvernements, l'industrie privée pourraient œuvrer ensemble dans ce sens. Et la Trust Valley, je pense, c'est une bonne initiative et qui tombe au bon moment.
Perfect. Andy, I'm going to ask you kind of a similar question, based on your experience and your journey and the opportunities that you're seeing moving forward. How do you see the Trust Valley playing a role into supporting you or into that growth?
Sure. I think if you look at Trust Valley, another valley that's very famous is Silicon Valley, right? Mm-hmm. And what does Silicon Valley have that is special, that makes it the most successful tech incubator in the world, so to speak? I think it's really critical mass. And for any ecosystem and environment to really grow and develop and foster, you need a critical mass of talent, a critical mass of capital. And once you have those, it kind of strengthens on itself. It's a positive cycle. And right now, if I look at the Geneva and also the Canton of Vaud, these two regions, there's a lot of good companies here. There's a lot of talent and I think no shortage of capital. And it's very, very important, I think, to bring these companies, the universities and the governments together to pull together the critical mass that is required to really have an ecosystem that can grow. I think if we look at from the government side, of course, there needs to be very strong policies, laws, and regulations to support innovation. This is absolutely required and maybe the foundation for this. Then that needs to be supported also with the university system, right? So being able to tap into the universities to get the best talent, being able to make sure that universities are preparing students for the challenges that will be required in this industry. And with those two components, you will start to see companies succeed in the region, and that will pull in other companies, pull in more talent, and then we get to an ecosystem that is a lot bigger, a lot more successful, and ultimately benefits all the players within the ecosystem. I think Trust Valley is a very good initiative. I'm glad that it's finally happening, and I really think there's a lot of potential, to go from here.
Okay, Antoine, what do you think?
Trust Valley?
About the Trust Valley, and I mean, it's, we're here, you guys have your own story, you're coming from you raised awareness, you raised trust, you're building up your credibility, you're going outside Switzerland and export your products and services, and so you're facing the crisis like everyone is facing, but we're here today with all these different point of view and key players, and so what would be your message for them, or what are you expecting, or how can you collaborate more with them?
No, like I was saying in my first message, I'm super excited by the fact that we create a community together. Mm-hmm. Trust, you gain trust only because, like Joël explained, you have acknowledgement from peers. And if together we all network and we will build this as a valley, then we can be much stronger together, even if we're individually smaller. So that's, yes, I think number one. The second would be to attract talents, to appear really a larger community, and maybe encourage students to go to tech in Switzerland and not go to the Facebooks and Googles. However good are those companies, but there are really innovations being made close to your house, and they take benefit from that.
Joël, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I really think Trust Valley is a great initiative. If I take this example earlier, being sitting alone in a bar, we don't sit alone anymore. And I wish I would have that 2008, 2009 when we started to have a community, because having a great technology, it's nice. But then if you don't want to die, you need investors and you need customers. So to get that, you need trust, and being alone in a bar is hard. I don't know if you went once and you had this situation, but for sure, being a community, having trust from peers is very, very key when you start. And I think that is a key aspect for me, I believe, from the Trust Valley, to be able to build that together and not to leave startup alone trying to build their paths, but being part of a bigger story. Having trust from peer VC is very key, having investors supporting and betting on technology. I think it's a very important piece of the story together.
I think it's really important also to hear from you and learn from you. And this afternoon we'll have the chance to have, there's 49 startups that competed to join the program, and we're going to have 27 of them being here. And it's exactly what you're saying, you know. When you start a company and then you feel alone and you feel you have to build up your product, your trust, your employees, this is very difficult. And your responsibilities, you know, I asked you the question about what do you expect from the Trust Valley or from people that are here looking at you, but it's also now you have responsibility to kind of give back and support that ecosystem and growing it as well. So, Cedric, any words? Any words on what are you expecting from today? What's your message for either startup or the...
Oui, je pense que finalement cette initiative, elle nous permet d'avoir maintenant une vraie carte de visite à faire valoir à l'étranger notamment. Enfin déjà en dehors de la Suisse romande, ne serait-ce qu'en Suisse allemande, au Tessin, mais bien évidemment au-delà des frontières, pour justement finalement attirer ces cerveaux, parce que je pense au slide de l'ENIG où on voyait ce triangle à peu près 3 côtés de 50 km dans lesquels on a une densité d'excellence académique, d'organisation autour de la sécurité et de la notion de trust. Enfin, on n'a vraiment pas comment dire, de honte à avoir par rapport à la Silicon Valley ou d'autres initiatives en Israël qui sont également impressionnantes. Mais enfin, on a vraiment un réservoir ici de savoir-faire qui est juste énorme. Alors on a peut-être un peu un côté modeste, helvétique, où on ne se met pas trop en avant, mais je pense que là on a vraiment une vraie carte à faire valoir à l'étranger pour attirer des cerveaux, pour attirer des investisseurs, parce qu'on a un réservoir d'innovation aussi qui est admirable. Et je pense que voilà, on a vraiment une chance inouïe à l'heure actuelle de faire ça. Et encore une fois, derrière cette carte de visite, il y a vraiment du concret. Ça fait 15 ans, 20 ans que ça se construit. On a l'initiative de tous les côtés, on le verra cet après-midi. Et voilà, donc je crois qu'on a un coup à jouer, quoi.
Great.
Yes, if I may add something to Trust Valley. Also, I hope that with this initiative we can trust each other to be confident in talking about what the others are doing. We, as Exoscale, we host the biggest watchmakers of this country, banks and etc. But being in this country, in this culture, we're not allowed to talk about it. That's a shame. So I think we should trust each other to be confident in using our brands, using our common power to the outside world.
Andy, any final word?
Well, we're a privacy company, right? So we're very, very discreet about, who we protect. I agree, right? It's good to I think it's very important to have reference customers, especially in the B2B sector. A lot of our customers, of course, are not the most forthcoming in saying who they are. We do have a lot of the banks and the international organizations. So I can see both sides, right? There is a need for, I think, some companies to be very discreet, but at the same time, the reason Silicon Valley is so successful is because they're very loud in touting their successes, right? They make news around the world, and actually, PR and media sounds, it doesn't build a stable business, but it certainly can't hurt. And I think Switzerland and the ecosystem in general, we could be a little bit less discreet, a little bit less, quiet and be a bit louder. So I do see some benefit to that as well. But it's a balance, right? There's a Swiss character as well where, we aren't very loud, and that's just kind of by nature.
So to conclude, I think I just want to ask you kind of a question on what are the challenges that you are facing today around maybe recruiting, around competing with the big guys, and kind of explain and give a view of your challenges that you have today and how maybe the community could support you. So want to take maybe talking about the recruiting.
Yeah, recruiting is a big topic, and when you are building a tech company, there are a lot. And coming from a university, we came from Yverdon University of Applied Science. So the great thing I would say from a techie guy like me who start learning business by building a company, at the end, it's quite easy to find some people to start with at the beginning, but then you need more skills. You need also more senior people to be able to bring you where you need to go, because you cannot learn fast enough to build it on your own. And I just do not only think about technology, but also about sales. And that's a key factor of success for any company. And sometimes in Switzerland, we forget about it. That we think, oh, we've got a great brand idea, great product, but you need great sales guys who are able to pitch it in a nice way, easy way, to map it to the customer needs and stuff like that. And we very, very often forget about it. I think we have great technology university. It would be so great to have some sales academics around here, to have this DNA that you as guys all have into the body when they are born. And I think that's really something that maybe some skills that are missing here. And that's where I would also see a great advantage to have, not to see sales guys or guys we don't want to talk with. It's a bit the Swiss mindset, oh, sales, it's not nice. No, sales is the key and the root of the success. Yeah. And I think that's the hardest point, I would say, from hiring and this perspective.
Yeah, we heard it before as well, you kind of the diversity in the recruitment and the social science, but then sales is a critical piece if you want to grow as a company, obviously. Yeah. Any other point on education that you want to mention?
Well, I think I do agree with a lot of that. And it really comes down to experience, right? You can be the smartest person in the world, but without certain experience, you're still going to make mistakes and you will not execute as fast. And I think in a startup, speed is the most important factor. You must be quick. If you're not quick, you'll either run out of money or someone will take over your market, right? Mm-hmm. And if you want to execute fast, you need to have the experience and you need to avoid making mistakes. And if we look within Switzerland, how many startups have scaled to, say, 100 million or 1 billion users? The answer is 0, none of them. And if you want to do that, actually, you need to find people who have done it before. And by and large, those people are not in Switzerland because no Swiss company has done it before. So to a certain extent, we want to do as much as possible here, but we still need to reach outside of our borders to find that talent that has gone through that journey, whether it's sales, marketing, or technology, to really help the business scale. And I think that's something that it's very important to keep that in mind. We can't do it all alone. It's really we need to leverage the talent pool of the entire world to do that.
Great. I think to conclude, we heard about what you have to say. We heard about your journey. So we hope that today will help you continue that journey and grow, find the right people for the company, kind of close this cluster and talk to each other, collaborate. Collaborate in a way in the competitive world, obviously, and build trust. So thank you very much. We're looking forward to have you this afternoon as well and meet with the startup. I think it's very, very important. And we wish you a long journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurence.